Okay, yep, it's going live on YouTube, but not Facebook. Here's what it is. No idea why. Oh,
That's
okay, I
perfect.
can do that too. Sorry, a second. Make. Okay, that work? Perfect. Yep, it's going live on YouTube, but not Facebook. Here's what it is. No idea why.
It's your YouTube.
Oh, now I have to turn off the sound on there?
Yeah.
Okay, that work? Perfect. How do I do that?
It's your YouTube.
How do I now I have to turn off the sound on there? I don't see it. Okay, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to do it. I can't figure it out. Sorry.
Okay.
Shall we start the recording again, please, Shema? Apologize, guys. Yes, there's a Black Beach on Maui, so that's the third one that I've been to, but that was on my honeymoon, and there's parts of that that I try to forget. So that was not the honeymoon one that you'll hear about in this presentation. So anyway, let's get started. Slides. So, hi everybody. Today we are going to talk about how to achieve your American dream, investing in the business or real estate options of your choice, and living the life of your dreams in the US. Disclaimer. All work product produced by eCounsel Inc., Investing Cross Borders, and any of our affiliated or subsidiary companies is fully dependent on the quality and quantity of information and documentation provided to us, and nothing in this presentation is to be relied upon as legal or other professional advice. It's all general information, excuse me. It's all general information, not to be relied upon as anything more. If you need to have specific advice, please set up a consultation with us, which will be provided to you further along in the presentation. During this masterclass, we will be discussing some key points about investing and immigrating across borders, mainly from Canada to the US, although not exclusively, but you know, I am a Canadian whisperer, so kind of happens. Specifically, we'll be considering the current economic situation and why now is the perfect time to take action and achieve your American dream. Please have your camera on if you can. It will allow me, especially during certain points of the presentation when I stop sharing my screen, to actually interact with you and know who's on camera. We do have multiple screens, so I try to go through them. I really like to interact with you guys and really try to bring you into the discussion, as you've seen from the very beginning. Ask questions. You know, I won't be able to answer them while I'm talking, but I will get to them, and my team is very good at monitoring the chat as well. And take notes. If you don't have a remarkable pad, we can talk about that. I didn't grab mine today, but I usually rely on it like a lot. I take notes in it extensively, and it's my lifeline. So that it's a digital notepad that is literally the best thing, one of the best investments I ever made in my business. Oops, sorry. So who am I? I am known, as I mentioned, as the Canadian Whisperer. I am a Canadian living the American dream. I'm a cross-border attorney and expert. I am a licensed realtor and the chair of EXP's International Investment Committee. I am an immigration concierge and quarterback, and I'm a best-selling author, franchise broker, and I have been featured in multiple mediums internationally, literally all around the world, from Israel to France to Colombia to Brazil to Argentina to Uruguay to Chile, obviously Canada and the US, for example. A global keynote speaker, an activist, and philanthropist. These are just some of my publications. The far right one, for my far right, is Finding Your Silver Lining in the Business Immigration Process. And you'll learn a little bit in this presentation about why that book has that title. That is my #1 best-selling book that was produced in 2017 and talks about the main business immigration visas. It's like a Bible for anybody that's planning to invest and immigrate and pursue a business visa. A Burning Desire to Succeed was written in 2018. That book is about the matching process between franchises and foreign investors. And it's a great book for anybody that's seeking to raise capital from foreigners or bring foreign investors in as prospective franchisees for their franchise, and also for prospective franchisees looking to invest in a franchise, which we will talk about further. Immigrant Hustle is not my personal publication. I'm one of the featured authors in the publication, and it was actually produced by a Canadian. His name is Amin Rao, and he produced this book, and I was one of the, as mentioned, featured authors. There are some really amazing authors featured in this book, and I would recommend that everybody read it. It's a great little compilation book. I've been featured in all of these publications on the bottom, as well as others. I actually just noticed, I don't think that Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine is in here, so we need to add that one. I'm a regular contributor to that amazing publication, which is produced out of Kitchener, Ontario. You guys may be familiar with that. Oops, sorry. I'm not used to using PDF. I like to use PowerPoint. So these are just some of the people that I've either helped or I've worked with, or that have been clients of mine, or that are clients of mine, or partners of mine, some of whom you may recognize, like Mel Robbins, Mike Wolf, Larry Feldman, who's the founder of Subway, Jill Lublin, who happens to be one of the most successful PR people in the world, Michael Gerber, author of The E-Myth. Some of you may have just heard of him. He was kind of one of the, I don't know, the 4 founders of entrepreneurship. He's been around forever. He is an amazing guy, a wealth of information. Imana Guy, a Canadian in Vancouver, who has built a company called Success Road Academy and a JVIC, Joint Venture Insider Circle, and helps people build companies and create joint venture relationships and create courses that sustain and grow. And Mike Wolf, one of the most successful real estate investors in Canada, investing in US real estate and other real estate. And he is a true digital nomad. He's an amazing guy. Jay and Corey Fassett, who is actually how I met Victoria, one of my team members. And Jay is a Calgary-based entrepreneur who was one of my first, I think, very influential clients that got a visa through investing in the US. Through setting up, it wasn't actually investing, it was a trading visa. It's an E1, which is based on substantial trade, because he was doing so many trade shows and running a business that was doing a lot of back and forth between Canada and the US. You guys may also know of Mel Robbins. The 5-second rule happens to be one of my favorite entrepreneurs, and a couple of my clients, Jeff Greenberg, Carolyn Graham. Carolyn Gallardo is a partner of mine for the business Strategic REI, which is actually the business through which the people that are just driving or just drove over the border got their visa 2 weeks ago. So we're very proud of that. Here's a couple of testimonials. Jeff Greenberg, which is one of the pictures in the prior slide, having a good immigration lawyer who truly gets it, who understands the whole picture, listens to you, and can guide you through the process properly, is huge in this process. For us, Lauren Cohen made all the difference in our E2 visa process, and we are forever indebted and grateful to her. Sabine Jaskawiak, owner of the Macaron franchises. She owned a few of those, which you guys may know of. It's actually very, very popular in Canada as well. And Sabine originally had an E2. She came to us to transition her from an E2 to an EB5, which is a green card track, and added to her original investment. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means. And to transition from an E2 to an EB5, we relied on Lauren Cohen and her team of experts. Their attentive and responsive service and superior quality work product exceeded expectations, and they worked diligently to ensure timely and accurate filing. It was a pleasure to work with them throughout the process. Cindy Azoulay is a business owner and immigration attorney from Israel. I find that I need to write to you to express my overwhelming appreciation for the work that you and your team have done. This case has plagued us for some time. The end result is exceptional, and this complicated case's success was predicated on your guidance and superior business plan and planning. As a real estate investor, Mike Wolf mentioned that Lauren is a valuable part of my team. If you are considering investing in the US, it's important to understand taxation and asset protection, or you could get yourself in trouble, and so many do. And Lauren advises in so many of these critical factors. Lauren is extremely good at what she does. She's helped me and my clients, and she can help you too. Mike is an amazing, amazing guy. If you don't know him, you want to, trust me. So now let me share my story. I wanted to pursue my American dream. I was living in Canada, in Toronto. Actually, I grew up in Thornhill. And had a comfortable life, but I wanted more. I wanted to live my best life away from the snow. I was really never a snow person. I asked my brother to send me this picture of me wearing my mom's fur coat, because I was really never a fur coat person, shoveling snow. That was like, I would shovel like a, I don't know, like a one, what do you call it? One pile or something, and be like, oh my God, I hate this so much. Or I would go, like I went to York University and then I went to Osgoode Hall Law School at York. And I would go like an hour early just to wait so I could get a good parking spot so I wouldn't have to like walk so far in the cold. And then I would like sit in the car for like half an hour, wasting all this gas because of course, like, they didn't have electric cars then, and wasting all this gas so that I didn't have to wipe the snow off the car because it was so heavy. Oh my goodness, I really was not much of a snow person. So I wanted to get away from the snow and the long cold winters and the rules. I wanted to live in the sunshine all year round. I wanted to face a more secure future. I wanted to access a better economy with improved opportunity. I knew that I was never going to make it big in Canada. It just wasn't going to be possible. I was just going to be working in a law firm, struggling along, working a lot of hours, not really getting anywhere. And I wanted to have a greater impact on others. And I just didn't see that happening in Canada. I mean, I had a nice life. My family is there. I had free healthcare, definitely a plus, but I just didn't see it. So I dreamed of immigrating to the US in pursuit of personal and professional happiness, freedom, and success. So after earning my law degree from Osgoode in Toronto, I realized that I wanted to explore opportunities south of the border. And I was determined to achieve my goals, despite the painstakingly long and taxing journey that I knew was in front of me, both literally and figuratively. But we all know shit happens, and it can happen to anyone. So my first frustrating experience, well, it may not have been my first. My first might have actually been like at Buffalo when, you're wearing those layers of clothing, trying to get across the border and you're getting a little trouble, or you're trying to like bring a few too many items over the border or something else happens. But my first major frustrating experience happened in 1997 when CBP agents refused to let me into the US and forced me to wait in a holding room while they questioned me and decided my fate. So I was in the process at the time of getting my H-1B, and it was kind of like that movie Green Card, because I was, I didn't have status. So I was kind of like in a goodness me, all of a sudden the word escaped me, but I had no status. I didn't have my visa, and I wasn't able to go in because it was in process. So I was sent home. Well, actually it wasn't home. I was living here, but I was sent back to my parents. And so they sent me back. And fortunately at the time they lived in Thornhill. So they came and picked me up. I went back there. It was just me. I was alone. I didn't have kids. So there wasn't really the end of the world. And at the time, it was before 9/11, so I was able to get things processed really quickly. I called and I called and I called, and I was persistent, and I got it done in 24 hours, and I got the visa turned around. That would never, ever happen today. Never. You can't push envelopes. Things do not happen like that. And if you are set aside or put in a holding room or whatever, you wait, and you wait your turn, and the turns are long. So then a few years after the approval of my H-1B, finally, it was truly, the next bump in the road occurred a few years after the approval of my H-1B. And while it was truly devastating, had I not experienced it, I doubt I would have ended up in the field of immigration law. Because then, what happened next? Well, I had recently married a fellow Canadian who was also in the process of adjusting his immigrant status. or was he? I didn't know and was shocked to find myself being escorted to a holding room once again on the return trip from our honeymoon to Thailand. From there, my then new husband was detained by US Customs and Border Patrol, expeditiously removed, and subsequently put into immigration jail and deported back to Canada, all before my astonished eyes. And let me tell you, I was astonished. I will never forget that as long as I live. And so it's because of this whole experience that my book is called Finding Your Silver Lining in the Business Immigration Process, because that's what I did. I found a silver lining in this process. I wasted a lot of time, of money, and gave up a heck of a lot of peace in the process. But at the end of the day, I found a way, because I wasn't taking no for an answer. So my current situation is I live in sunny Florida, and it's very sunny and beautiful outside today. I have a 7-figure business. I have my assets secured, and I have achieved location and financial freedom, which is why I can go to Israel for 12 days with 600 women from around the world and know, thank you to Miri and my amazing team, that I don't have to panic, even though I'll probably still panic just a little bit. But it's a lovely feeling to be able to do that. And I wouldn't have been able to do that a few years ago. So I'm going to stop for just a second and stop sharing my screen and see, I see that there's some stuff going on in the chat. Okay, so one moment, and I'm going to try to answer these questions. Wanting to know the best way to move from Canada to Florida where I can ideally sell real estate. So that's not an easy answer, as I mentioned in our prior conversations in the EXP world. Unfortunately, you can't just move to Florida and sell real estate. We will talk about how you can do it if you have a spouse, or if you buy a business or invest in a business where you need a real estate license. Let's go up a little bit. Can somebody please read through the questions that might be there? One of my team members, please. So
Yeah, Lauren, I think for now, we can keep going because there's not a lot of questions. We'll save them for
Okay.
you. And we'll answer
I
them.
saw like 18 things, so I didn't want to continue if there were
Yeah.
things that needed to be addressed. Okay, did anybody from my team need anything desperately other than what I just posted in there?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. I'll go back in here. So today you are here because you are sick and tired of limited opportunities for your family in your home country, Canada, or maybe Costa Rica, or wherever you happen to live. Restrictions. And sometimes those restrictions can be restrictions on your ability to make money, restrictions or limitations on your freedom, or the ability for the government to go in and take money away from you or seize your assets because you may have done something like what happened with the whole trucking situation and seizing credit cards and so on and so forth. Giving away your money due to high taxes or weak currency. Financial losses, again, potentially grabbing or seizing your credit cards. Climatic repercussions, a big one for Canadians for sure. So what's your why? Tell us in the chat, what's your goal? Why are you here today? What brings you here? Because at the end of the day, you don't have to suffer through the winter. Are you guys seeing, let me ask you, because I haven't presented this way before. I think I need to probably change it to full view, enter full screen. That's what I need to do, right? Yeah. Can you see the second slide? Can you guys see that? Or do you just see the main slide?
Yeah, we can a little bit.
You can a little bit. Okay, so maybe I'll, okay, there. All right, let's see what everybody's posting in the chat. One of the border cities. What are your recommendations? What are my recommendations in terms of where you want to move? or where you might want to go, looking for a condo so I can spend my winters in Florida. I hate the snow. I'm here to learn and be a resource for my Canadian friends. Okay. Weather, professional reasons, financial opportunities, affordability, retirement. June, hi June. Yep, I know you're from Canada originally and a realtor in Maryland. Yes, I see more opportunity for of course, definitely. There's way more opportunity for passive income or active income with real estate in the US. 2 ways to buy real estate in the US. No, neither. There's buying real estate. So first of all, I want to be very clear that we're not going to be addressing how to buy real estate or the right structure for you. We're going to talk about some general structure issues, but you need to have a specific consultation to discuss your real estate needs, because it's never one size fits all. Okay, great. Short-term rental in Delray. So we can set you up with David and we can find you a short-term rental in Delray Beach. There you go, David. There's one for you. Curious about investing in warmer climate for business in US from Canada. Do I have, again, Michael's same answer. It's never going to be through an LLC directly, because then you'll be subject to double taxation. Lack of community in Canada. Okay, well, Florida is not exactly community centered, but you know, there's options. Want to live in Florida full-time and potentially move my business. Okay, set up a consult with our team. My business partners and I are real estate investors looking for insight into buying real estate. Perfect. Does your company advise in this area? Yes, but we have 3 tracks, which we will talk about. I'm a Canadian who's now a realtor in Sarasota. I want the most information possible to work with Canadian clients. Okay, well, we can definitely partner together. I have lots of clients that invest in the Sarasota area. Tax efficiency in the US versus Canada, definitely. Okay, so you don't have to suffer through the winter. I don't suffer through the winter. My son would like to go to the snow, but I never want to deal with it again. You know, I'd like to deal with maybe a sled on like a sand dune, but that's about it. Uh-oh, is this going to open, this slide? Why is it not opening? Oh, there we go. So this is kind of like my life now. Okay, Disney, the beach, the dogs, the sunshine, the palm trees, Meisner, Worth Avenue. Much better for me. Much happier in the sunshine. And so is my kid. Then again, he's never lived in Canada, although he thinks he wants to, because, you know, his cousins are there and that's it, but not for me. So wouldn't you want to do this too? This is the picture we can paint for you: financial freedom, success, and lifestyle freedom. Sorry, these slides are taking a little bit to load. I'm not sure why. What's going on, people? Can somebody help me with the slides, please?
Or why don't I share my screen? So
Okay. Yeah, they're definitely not loading properly.
okay. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. And we were until here. Okay.
So this is the current reality in Canada, is that you're dealing with an economy, the challenging economy, the climate and the climatic changes, and, you know, ever increasing taxes. And don't worry about healthcare. Of course, there are healthcare options. I have healthcare. Everybody has healthcare. Everybody has healthcare. It's not free, but it's not impossible, and it's not unaffordable, and it's not unattainable. And as a matter of fact, for the first couple of years when you are in the US, it's made very affordable. And I have some great contacts. My brother helps you for the first year. He's a Canadian health insurance expert. So he will help you for the first 365 days. And then after that, we transition you through another colleague of mine. Okay. Oh, hey, Mike. I didn't realize that was you, Mike. Mike's iPhone. Thank you. Of course, Mike, my lovely Mike Nicholson, who's my buddy. It's like my brother from another mother. No, absolutely not only for Florida. We help all over the US. We just happen to be in Florida, and so many Canadians love to invest in Florida. But we have some clients even on the call right now that are investing in Arizona and Texas. I mean, it doesn't really matter. North Carolina, California, it doesn't matter. You name it and we can help you. So obviously the economy is ever changing. It's a strong economy in Canada, but then when the dollar keeps dropping, it does create challenges. And the Bank of Canada keeps increasing rates. I think yesterday they increased the rate again, right? I think, is that accurate? Because I know they were announcing something.
Just today they announced it another 0.5%.
Yeah, so there you go. And it's going to keep going. I'm not saying that it's going to be much better here. They are anticipating higher rates. And then people say, well, what about the fact that we're paying 40 cents on our dollar? Why would we want to invest in the US? But the fact is that if you invest, it hits you when you invest. And then once you're done, you start making your money in the US. So when I first bought my first house here, I paid 60 cents on the dollar. So as much as I empathize, believe me, I got hit hard. But that's one time. And then you start, every time that you see a rent check, then you get 40 cents on that dollar, right, Mike? So it's all relative, okay?
Me and Leanne are laughing right now because we moved about a year ago. We moved all kinds of money over there when we were purchasing and doing stuff. And now everybody's worried about, the exchange rate. And we have our pool of money already in the US. It's ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like anything. You can, and listen, 60 cents was ridiculous, but I had to do it because I was buying a house and I had no choice. But, there's never a perfect time. Then people can say, oh, I'm going to wait for the housing market to drop, or, oh, I'm going to wait for the rates to drop. The rates are going up. Okay. So don't wait for the rates to drop. I think Michal is here. Michal, are you here? Michal, I saw you come in. You're not here. She's not quiet. Okay, well, Michal is with a company called Lendai, and Lendai helps Canadians investing in US real estate, non-owner occupied specifically. And it's a AI, artificial intelligence based company, and they only lend to corporate owned real estate. So they don't lend to if you're going to be owning it personally or anything. So it's not based on your US credit, it's based on your Canadian stuff. And it's very simple, it's simple process. No, nobody's given up their Canadian citizenship here, okay? I would never give up my Canadian citizenship. I'm a dual citizen, thank you very much, okay? I would never, ever encourage somebody to give up their Canadian citizenship. So let me go back to the presentation. Back to climate, my favorite topic. You don't want to deal with this forecast, right? This will be the worst winter ever, right? I remember last year, our busiest day like ever in the history of my company was January 8th, 2022. Does anybody know what happened on January 8th, 2022? No? It was like the first huge blizzard in the GTA. So literally we had 108 inquiries in one day. Okay. I didn't know what to do. I'd never seen that before. We're a small business. We didn't even have the manpower to deal with it. We created a bot. That's what we did. We're like, okay, we have to do something because if this happens again, what are we going to do? So we created a bot. We have a bot. It's called, actually, we'll put it in the chat. It's asklaurenesq.com. And you guys can ask your questions there. It's a pretty cool, fun little bot that we created because we had to have something to respond to the constant inquiries. And then we set it up so that it would auto-populate, just like with Amazon, right? So now we're just like Amazon. Yep, we're printing money just like Bezos. Yep, that's the truth. So anyway, then you have the rules and you have the mask mandates. And they say that there's going to be another mask mandate in Ontario this winter. Who knows? We never know, but we do know something. No matter what, you're never going to have the same freedoms as we have here in Florida or many other parts of the US. It's just not possible. And it's just, Canada is notoriously known for setting rules and implementing them and being invasive in terms of reaching into your personal lives, more so, much more so than here in the US, and definitely much more so than here in Florida. And we have a gubernatorial race coming up on November 8th. And I just found out that I'm not going to be able to vote, which kind of upsets me because I didn't realize that I was going to be in Israel when the voting happens, and I didn't pre-register for early voting, so I'm a little upset. So hopefully everybody else is going to vote and the right person will get it. Then we have taxes, which are a very big deal. Corporate taxes, not so much. Personal taxes, huge difference between Canada and the US, especially as you increase your income, because the marginal tax rates are much lower in the US, and your overall tax rates are much lower. Additionally, for those, there's a lot more deductions here. There's a lot more ways to break down various things, and so on and so forth. And Miri just asked me to talk about some of the freedoms I'm talking about. So, in America, so like being Canadian, the government has more ability to go to do more. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms allows the government to do certain things and restrict our freedoms a little bit more, or actually a lot more than in the US. So Canadians, as a rule, tend to accept this. Americans don't stand for it. It's just like the mask mandate. Okay, Americans didn't stand for a lot of stuff that Canadians stood for during COVID. Canadians are just, as a rule, more accepting of government regulation, whether you agree or you disagree. And that was what prompted a lot of the demand for people to move south of the border, because they were like, we don't want to deal with this anymore. We don't want to deal with these rules. Whether they agreed with the masks or not, it was irrelevant. They just didn't want to deal with the fact that their personal rights and freedoms were being infringed upon. Okay. Now, Mark is asking, is it okay to have 3 citizenships? It depends on which 3. Okay. It's up to each country. It's not up to me so the US doesn't prevent it. Canada doesn't prevent it. Some other countries might prevent it. That's what it is. Okay. So if you are here, it's because you want something more, or because I talked you into coming, or because you work for me, or something like that. But if you're here, it's because you want something more. So let's check in. Type in the chat how you're feeling right now. Israeli citizenship, it's pretty common to have Israel, Canada, and the US. Eventually, I'll have all 3. Maybe in 2 weeks. I may never come back. It's a little possibility I'll just ship my kid there. I don't know. Angry. What are you angry about, Charles? You're not angry at me, I hope. I didn't do anything, did I? So are you angry because, tell us what made, I'm not trying to pry, but if you put angry, then yeah, I understand. As a Canadian who moved to Florida, I think you really have nailed the reasons people are moving here from Canada. Thank you, Jeff. I'm from Toronto and I'm really looking to leave long-term. I forecast with the huge immigration is only going to get harder. That's very true. I will tell you something. I can't see the future. I don't have a crystal ball. I didn't know when the COVID restrictions would end, or the COVID, the vaccine mandates would end or change or whatever. I still can't. But what I can tell you is, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, the E2 rules are going to change. We don't know when, we don't know how, and there's somebody in the waiting room, somebody could let them in, please. But we do know that they're going to change. So it's just a matter of time. Yeah, David, I'm with you there. If you are thinking about doing this, now is the time. One thing to remember, and we will talk about this a little more, just because you get a visa does not mean you have to move. Jay Facette is in Calgary with a nice little visa in his pocket, so he can go back and forth wherever he wants, whenever he wants to. He's not moving. His kids play hockey. He doesn't want to move. He needed that visa as an insurance policy, okay? If he waited, that visa may not be available, or the requirements could change. Right now, the average investment, if not in real estate, is about 100,000, okay? That could be 250 in a few months. Why? Because the demand is so high right now, and the supply, there's not currently a quota. There is a quota for EB-5, which is a green card through investment. And those rules have changed drastically. This is going to be next. Okay. Hey, it's not for everybody, like I said. Okay, not everybody wants to move. Maybe you just want to invest, and we're going to talk about that as well. Next slide, please, Rana. Thank you. After this masterclass, you will know why now is the best time to act. Have a clear idea of the options available to you, not me, you, and access a special opportunity that we have not offered before. We'll be sharing that information with you. It's a $100,000 generally investment in order to access a visa. Okay. Why do you want or need a visa? I love Israel too, believe me. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you know that by now. If you don't know it by now, you'll know it by a week from now. So here's some of the advantages of accessing a visa. You'll obtain a social security number so you can live and work in the US. You'll build credit and access financing, personal financing as well as business financing. You'll have the freedom to go back and forth across the border freely, whatever border that may be. It could be the border to Israel, the border to Brazil, the border to London, England, or the border to London, Ontario. Okay. You know, not exactly a border, but Windsor, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to send your kids to public school. You'll have work options for your spouse. So I think it was Anne-Marie. If you have a spouse and you want to sell real estate, your spouse could be the one to apply for the visa, and you can get a real estate license and buy and sell real estate freely. If you do not have a spouse, we can find you a business that will allow you to buy and sell real estate. Okay, but you are not able to work as an independent contractor with a visa unless your spouse is the visa applicant. Next slide, please. Oh, understanding more of on this slide, the ability to build your business and invest freely. You'll have the freedom to establish strategic relationships. So you can actually shake hands, schmooze, go for dinner, go to networking events, meet people, because now it's not just Zoomophobia, right? It's a little bit more. You'll avoid paying high taxes. And even though this presentation is not about taxes, because I am not a tax expert, and I never will be. I have a tax expert on our team, actually a couple, and getting a visa will definitely help you avoid paying high taxes. And potentially you can build a business that will help you access an eventual green card, which is permanent residence, and you can qualify for a 1031 exchange. Now, before I move on to that, does anybody, because I have a slide about that, does anybody want to tell us what the heck is a 1031 exchange? Anybody want to volunteer? No? No volunteers? Okay. Okay, June, give it a shot.
1031 exchange is the ability to roll the profits from the sale of one investment property into a like-kind exchange. It's also called a starker. Like-kind exchange, 1031 exchange. There's a number of different names for it.
Yeah. So what's the advantage of that?
It means that you can avoid paying capital gains tax
Correct.
on the profits of
Right.
the sale of property.
Now, Mary, I don't think, can you show, is the next slide the 1031 slide? No, I don't think it is. Maybe it's 2 down.
Not yet, but do you wanna?
Yeah, it should be the next slide. I need it.
There.
Yeah, I guess it just went in the wrong order. So this slide outlines how a 1031 exchange works, okay? So a 1031, these are the kind of conditions for a 1031 exchange. Now, a 1031 exchange is available to anybody from anywhere. However, when you take it back to Canada, or so you can claim it in the US, but as soon as if you're a Canadian filing in Canada, and you don't have a social, and you're not filing in the US, and you don't have a visa, you take it back to Canada, it discounts your whole savings and you're done. So you may as well not have even claimed anything because there's no benefit for you in Canada. So this is one of the things Mike Wolf actually talks about often, because he doesn't have a visa and he doesn't have a social, so he can't benefit from 1031. And it's a very big deal for real estate investors. So this is one of the very significant benefits for you of getting a visa if you are a significant real estate investor. Because even if you're not going to live in the US, this alone could make it worthwhile because of all the tax savings that you're going to realize. Okay, and we can talk further about that. But basically, in order to be able to access 1031, you have to identify a like-in-kind property to purchase within 45 days, and you have to close within 6 months on it. Okay, and then you're able to qualify for this 1031 exchange. So it's on an investment property, not on your principal property, not on your home, but on an investment property. All right, and we can talk about that further if this is something that you guys are interested in. Okay, can we go back there? Can we go back to the prior slide, please? So what we will do is work with you to create a personalized plan with you. Shouldn't say for you, it should actually say with you, so I apologize for that. So we'll make sure we make that change. Next slide, please. So who wants to invest in real estate? Everybody? No, it doesn't matter if you have a TIN, doesn't matter what you have. You can, like I said, anybody can access 1031, but it won't be of any value to you because when you take it back to Canada, you're going to end up, they're going to discount your 1031 completely, and they're going to tax you on that capital gain. Okay, so there's no benefit to you is what I'm saying. You understand, Katie? Makes sense? That's totally fine. As I mentioned, we don't just handle Florida, we handle all of the US. If you leave the money in the States, it's a little bit easier, yes, absolutely. But again, it becomes complicated. So and you're always going to be in a better position if you have a visa. Okay, so investing and immigrating through our 3-phased visa program. I'm not really sure, Mary, why that slide is where it was, that prior slide. It probably needs to move, right? The real estate one? No, the prior one. Yeah, that one should be moved, okay, for the future. Okay, next slide, thanks. Investing and immigrating. So we have a 3-phased program for our people that do want to invest and immigrate, not just invest. And phase 1 is setting up and selecting your business and setting up your US entities. So in that's kind of the work intensive phase where we figure out what you want to do, where you want to do it, how you want to do it, what type of business, what you want to do, and all of that kind of thing. We set up your entities, we help you with your tax IDs, and we help you set up your bank account. Once all of that is done, we then help you develop your visa business plan in phase 2. And once your visa business plan is done, actually you can always, some of these are kind of done simultaneously. So depending on what stage you're at, like sometimes we can be working on phase 1 and phase 2 at the same time, or phase 2 and phase 3 at the same time, depending on your timeline. And then phase 3 is always going to be crafting your visa petition, which includes sourcing all of your money that's going into the actual business that you're going to be using for your application. Okay. And these 3 phases are our holistic approach that is super unique. We're the only company in the whole industry that offers this 3-phased approach, comprehensive full service approach to the investing and immigration process. We are not just immigration attorneys. We're not just business plan writers. We're not just business consultants. We are the whole kit and caboodle from A to Z or A to Z in Canadian. Okay. And you are not going to work with us if all you want is an immigration lawyer to file your petition. That's not going to be the right answer for you. Okay. I see that you're asking the question, what if my wife is an American? Does this expedite a green card? Yes, absolutely. And we can help you with that. Does any of this apply if, I'm sorry, you'll have to ask that question separately, Jason. I can't answer specific questions in this. That's legal advice. I apologize. Okay. 10 steps to immigrate through real estate. So that rhyme, that's why I created it. 10 steps to immigrate through real estate is our signature program. We do have a download available. I'll show you the download in a few moments. And this is a really cool program that we created because a friend of mine, his name is Phil Scavo, originally from Ottawa. He lives here on the beach in this beautiful home. He used to work with CorelDRAW and made some money with tech selling his shares, and now owns a BurgerFi and a turf company down here. And our sons met in Little League, and we became friends because he was wearing his Blue Jays cap. And I was like, oh, you must be from Canada, because who else wears a Blue Jays cap except Raymond, because he lives in the Philippines and happens to like the Blue Jays stuff. And I was like, what are you doing wearing a Blue Jays cap? So this is our signature program, and we'll talk about the 10 steps. And basically, you can also follow this program for investment. It's appropriate for visa seekers. It can include past investments. You must create employment. You must be actively involved in running the business. And we have a business that fits perfectly into this model that I run with my partner, Carolyn Gallardo from Calgary. It's called Strategic REI. It's by invitation only, and it's specifically for real estate investors and helps you to turn your passive real estate investing business in investing portfolio into an active real estate investing business. And that is our specialty. You cannot be passive. You must be actively involved in the business operations. And this can potentially be used as an initial step on a path to an EB5, which is a path to a green card. EB5 stands for employment-based fifth preference. So fifth preference, meaning that it goes in the queue in the fifth preference. So there's EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, EB5. And it's employment-based because you create employment, okay? Next slide, please. No, real estate syndication will never work unless you are the actual founder of the real estate syndication. If you're an investor in real estate syndication, it will not work because that's passive. If you are creating a real estate syndication and we help you to build that real estate syndication and create the securities documents and everything, that potentially could qualify. 10 steps to immigrate through real estate. We're going to talk about each of these 10 steps, but this slide is available as a download. If you'd like to ask, we can certainly offer that to you. And we created this, it's basically an A to Z, again, A to Z. Soup to nuts. Follow these 10 steps and you'll get a visa and you'll run your business and you'll be successful and you'll renew it. I have purchased 3 bungalows with a business partner. Can we still use that investment to immigrate to real estate? It depends. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what your ownership is. I don't know what you've spent. I don't know how much money you're making. Okay. It's not as simple as I spent $2 million and I'm going to qualify. You have to meet certain criteria, and we have to look at each investment. And that's why usually, like with somebody like Sandra or somebody like David, I will refer the client to them so that we can look at each of the individual investments together and not only just look at them as investments, but do they potentially qualify for a visa? Like Sandra will always bring a prospective investment opportunity to me first and say, Lauren, would this fit into your portfolio? Rather than bringing it to the client, because she doesn't want the client to get all excited. And then I say, that's not going to work. So that's why we have to set that up with you. So, and at least 150 to 200,000 as a down payment, but the investment amount is going to have to be much larger. And then you don't want to have it that it becomes a marginal investment, that you're over capitalized or over financed. So for example, when we set up Strategic REI, we set up 4 entities now, and we make sure that the entities are financed. The entity that's financed is not the entity that's applying for the visa, so that we make sure that everything is structured properly and everybody, all of the entities follow the right process so that everything makes sense. And at the end of the day, the applicant, the applicant entity is not marginal. And it's complicated. I know it sounds complicated. And all I can tell you is we have a structure and a system that we have worked on for many, many months with many, many lawyers. And that's why we're the experts. So I can't give you all of our magic, right? So number of properties, you're going to need at least 5 doors in order to qualify. You can't buy, or on the other hand, you could have 2 doors. Like for example, Mike has, what is it, 8 bedrooms, Mike?
We've got 6.
That's all?
And our Florida house is 6.
6?
Yeah, it's just.
How do you manage with
bedrooms.
only 6 bedrooms?
Yeah, And then we have our 4 Michigan homes, but those are all long-term. But
So Mike has 6. Adele, another client of ours, just closed on an 8-bedroom home in Orlando and is closing on another 8-bedroom home. Now, if Adele or Mike was to have 2 of those 8 or 6 or bedroom homes and theme them out, as Mike has already done and Adele is doing, and rented them as short-term rentals and offered various additional services, which we have discussed many times as a way to a visa, meaning they could add adventure tours, they could add additional services, food services, airport services, shuttle services, all kinds of supplementary services. Potentially that could then mean that their 2 themed out houses could qualify for a visa. It's not one size fits all. And no, it's not renting rooms. It's a business model. And that's what my secret sauce is. So I can't give you all my secrets, right? So we could do Airbnb, we could do multifamily, commercial. I am the chair. I'm on the commercial side, but I do a lot of residential. And we could also find you a franchise that could be a complementary business, like a maid service, like a property management company, something that can make your life easier, which might make sense because then your real estate investments are not, or your visa is not contingent on your real estate investments. So you could have that franchise that is the visa applicant business, and your franchise runs that. And you can just invest in real estate in whatever the heck you want because your visa isn't dependent on it. Okay? Make sense? Yes? Good. Cross-border tax guidance. We have 2 amazing cross-border tax experts, one of whom I helped him buy his house here in Boca. He's from Ottawa. He's a very good friend and trusted advisor. And, he knows his stuff. And he moved here, a year and a bit ago. I don't think he's ever looking back. And so he's our first course of action, no matter what. And then you have to figure out your ideal structure. Again, it's not one size fits all. I'm not going to tell you what works for you because I don't know. And I'm not a tax expert. And I'm also not an asset protection expert. And you're going to talk to both of these people. So if we move on to the next slide, you'll see, I think asset protection is on the next slide. I've done this a few times, right? Estate planning has to come into play. Proper setup of entities and the structure is essential. And you want to protect not only your business, but your family. Step-by-step guidance to ensure the highest likelihood of success. Make sure that you have the professional team in place and you have multiple professionals to be consulted throughout the process. And financing, because you don't want to do this without the proper financing support. Now, we have some new financing partners, one of whom is on the call today, who's originally from Detroit, who lives here in Palm Beach County, right down the street from me, Nick. And Nick is going to be on our Facebook Live soon, so you'll want to join that because he has some really creative foreign investor financing options. Mike, you probably want to connect with Nick going forward. Nick, reach out to Mike Nicholson because you guys should connect. And also connect with Lendai. We'll put our link for Lendai in the chat. Una or Shema, maybe you want to put the link since I think that Michal had to hop off. And we're having Michal on Facebook Live when? Next week? Yeah.
November 3rd. Yes.
Oh, November 3rd. That's, next week.
Next week.
Yeah, my son turns 12 on November 4th when I'll be in Israel. Not that he's making me feel bad about it. Okay. Next slide, please. So the filing of the visa is obviously the most important thing. I should check if Ilana is going to join the call. I think if she's not because they're still driving. But we had a client that drove through the border today and got everything went smoothly. They got their visa, like I said, 2 weeks ago. We did everything for them. They invested in strategic REI. We helped them buy the real estate. We literally have helped them with everything from the beginning. They originally had their visa interview, I think it was at the end of May next year, and they ended up getting an expedited interview October 12th, and they were approved and drove through the border today. So we help and we craft the business plan. We work with our immigration team to prepare the petition and file that and get the approval and walk through every step of the process. And then comes the hardest work of all, which is maintaining your business, building your business, growing your business so that you can not only renew your visa, but potentially get a green card eventually. So to qualify for a visa through real estate, your real estate business should be managing. I think we've already had this slide. Actually, I'm not sure why it repeated, so we can skip it, please. Sorry. Some franchise advantages in the foreign investor setting include that they're turnkey, they have ongoing systems, training, marketing, and support. There are many franchise brands that offer E2 visa contingencies, which basically means that we require that the franchise write in a contingency that if they don't get that, they put the money into escrow until the client gets the visa. So the franchise fee is in escrow. They may be spending other money on, like, vans or equipment or hires or social media or marketing, but the franchise fee is put into contingency, into escrow until the visa is granted. It's also a potentially lucrative and saleable asset, so that makes it very appealing. So in my 2018 book, A Burning Desire to Succeed, I noted that franchises offer a unique investment opportunity for foreign nationals that allow them to acquire a ready-made turnkey business with most systems already developed and ready to use, yet they can operate the franchise business as their own, such that a true sense of ownership is created. So this slide outlines some of the main business visa options, and we haven't really spent much time on all of these, but the L1 is a very popular visa option as it does lead directly to a green card, and it is available for anybody from any country as long as you have a business in the home country with at least, I would say at least 6 employees, not independent contractors, and you're planning to build a business of at least that size in the US. And E1 is based on trade, substantial trade, about 100,000 back and forth between the US and your home country. E2 is based on investment. EB1A is based on extraordinary ability. EB1C is a multinational executive or manager, which is a great way to get a green card for somebody that starts with an E2 but does have a foreign business. And an EB5, as I mentioned, currently is an investment of 900,000 or 1.05 million. It's a strange number, but anyway, let's say it's 900,000 for argument's sake, and that is a path directly to a green card. Do not pass go, do not collect 900,000. This is also available as a download. The left side is the pre-visa process, getting your business ready. What do you have to do? Find the business, get the visa, get the business plan, set up your entity. And the right side is what you have to do once you've found the business and you're ready to start the visa process, the actual visa process. Other investing options include, oh, not sure what happened there. We're back to the franchise. Okay, can we skip these slides, please? I'm not sure what's going on with the slides. Buying an existing business, which is a great option. Expanding your current business to the US. It's also a great option. A lot of people want to do this, and that could also qualify you for an L1 as well. So, and now, for those of you that only want to invest, it's important to set up the right structure so you can avoid double taxation and legal liability, and you have the right protection to avoid that liability. And remember, everyone is permitted to invest in the US, but it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. Our recommendations are custom tailored to your specific situation and goals. So we take you through a step-by-step process, as my clients will attest to. And if you don't go through it, you're not going to want to work with us. The following slide is also available as a download. It's the 10 steps to successful US real estate investing, and we're happy to share that with you as well. And yes, we'll share the Facebook group link. And why would people choose to only invest? Well, they may not want to move to or do business in the US, but they want to invest and need guidance in setting up the right structure. They aren't ready to pursue a visa at this time, but want to start investing in the US and want to make sure that they do it the right way. They may want to access a visa and maybe even a green card in the future and want to set themselves up for future success now. So learn about the value and best options for you and what makes the most sense for your particular situation. So remember, these are the 10 steps to successful US real estate investing. Consult with and retain a cross-border lawyer and CPA to guide on entity setup. Somebody going to post the Facebook group in the chat, please? Choose the states into which you want to invest. As I mentioned, yes, it does point in Florida. I am in Florida. Lots of Canadians like investing here, but we are not Florida exclusive or exclusive to Florida. Secure a virtual or other US address. Now, this is actually not essential. And remember, not all of these steps are in order. Why is it not essential? Because you may not actually need an address in the state, because what's going to happen is when we set up your entity, you're going to get a registered agent attached to that entity, and that registered agent will provide an address that you can use. Consult with realtors and lawyers to create the appropriate investment strategy. Relying on professional legal advice, set up the entities in your chosen state that are recommended to you without risking double taxation. Then you'll obtain your employer identification number. You can't obtain that without setting up the entities. And then you'll set up your bank account. You cannot do that without a tax ID. And by the way, really important to understand, you don't really have an entity until you have the documentation related to the entity, such as your corporate resolutions, your partnership agreement, your operating agreement, your shareholders agreement, whatever those documents are. And our legal team sets up all of those documents for you. Doesn't mean you just go on to the state division of corporations and set up your entity and you're done. It doesn't work like that. Securing appropriate financing for your investments, how much, what percentage, etc. And making sure that you work with professional realtors that are referred to you, that you don't just find that have done through some Google search, okay? Because you want to go by personal word of mouth and then start investing. So let's recap. How can you do it? Real estate investing with a franchise, buying an existing business, or bringing your own business to the US. Imagine how your life could be. Type in the chat, ready, if you're ready to take the next step. Nobody's ready? There you go. I'm ready and I'm already here. I wish I had somebody like me when I did this, instead of like trying, flapping back and forth, trying to figure it all out. You can do it alone, or you can do it with our help. That's your choice, of course. If you try to do it alone, you're going to have a lot of paperwork, going to waste a lot of time and money, and you're going to lack options. Or if you do it with us, or if you're also going to have a poor structure, double taxation, legal liability, inadequate protection, missing information, compromised access to and assets, and improper reporting. Missing strategy, without skills, education, desires, all of these things, family status, budget, vaccination. Not being careful when it comes to hiring, right business structure, vetting an existing business, the right location, analysis and selection of the right investments, and choosing the right business to qualify for a visa. What's the worst that could happen? What happened to me? My ex-husband being deported, which in retrospect was the best thing, but I didn't know that then. So your investment could be at risk, your visa could be denied, you may be deported or removed, you may lose your business, you may be unable to run your business, you may be unable to visit your investments or properties. You could lose out on potential deals, you will miss out on relationships, you will have limited options for credit or financing. That's why you need to do your due diligence now. Potential issues, as I mentioned, are changing laws, possible quotas, increased investment amounts, mandated minimum investment changes, and other possible restrictions. We just don't know. But with our help, things will be different. You'll get results with a personalized plan designed to achieve your dreams. Paul Roblin, with working with eCounsel was painless. They were flexible, diligent, and responsive. The end product was excellent. We would recommend them highly. Dan Shields, who actually happens to, I forgot, be from Toronto originally. Thanks to the efforts of eCounsel Global, we received our exemplar approval without a single RFE, which is like an appeal. And we'll tell you the next steps in a moment. Cesar Petrucci from Newmarket. We had a lot of ups and downs before we met Lauren. We had worked with other immigration lawyers and the process was long and stalled out so many times. Lauren was organized. She solved many problems and brought peace to our journey. I'm so grateful to Lauren and her team. And he even called me his sister. Adele De Giosa. As we get ready to close on our first US properties, we can't help but think of you. You are the key in getting us here. The expression, it takes a village, is true in many areas of life, including real estate investing. You and your team were our village, taking care of us every step of the way, making sure that everyone was executing their tasks on time and providing us top quality service. You brought all the pieces of the complex puzzle together without missing a beat. What is your next step? So I'm going to let Mary speak for a moment. Mary, if you don't mind, because my voice is done.
Sure. So we've been having consults with the team, and we're actually going to start charging for them. So this is your chance, because now you know what are some of the risks if you do this by yourself. And your next step is to see if this is possible for you, right? So we all love having people who want to move to the US, whether it's Florida, Texas, Arizona, or we have people who want to move to Michigan, believe it or not, because it's so close and they want to buy properties there. So the most important thing is to make sure that you have the right help and the tools, and you're actually guided in the right direction. There's nothing worse than hearing horror stories from some of our other clients who started their process with another firm and they didn't take care of them. They didn't advise them properly. And then they came to us because they know that we're going to hold them by the hand. And we have WhatsApp chats with all of our clients. We understand where you're coming from. I'm an immigrant as well. Lily, who's in here in the United States, is also an immigrant. Lauren is an immigrant. So we understand what you're going through. And that's why we care so much. And when you book the consult with the team, it's because we know exactly what you're going through. We know the difference between success and a long path of frustration and counting on the right team. It took me 17 years to get my green card. 17 years. And it's not an exaggeration. So we weren't working with Lauren, obviously, because my father made the move. But when you have a team like this, it doesn't take us long. As then you're going to have a visa within a fairly short amount of time, depending on your situation. So we'll be able to help you and guide you in the right direction. And as well as we're going to have this free 5 consults right now. So right after this, we're going to check and see how many people have scheduled it. We are going to start charging for them because we are getting so many, and we want to make sure that we open it up one more time to people who are here. And Lauren, you can also contact us, if you're interested in investing, whether you're looking for a visa or not. Like Lauren mentioned, you don't have to have a visa to live in the US. You can go back and forth, but if anybody from the team can actually put the link in the chat so that people can go to investingcrossborders.net/consult, because right now they're free, but they're not going to be free for much longer, especially if the first 5 spots get taken. So thank you, Raymond. So make sure that you take the wheel today. This is your life. You don't have to be in the winter in Canada. There is a way for you to be in the US, to be in Florida, Arizona, Texas, wherever you choose to be right now without having to go through the winter. So there's the link. And this is for you. If you have questions about the planning process, if you're seriously considering investing or immigrating to the US, it doesn't have to be both. It can be just one. If you're looking for opportunities, if you're looking for more freedom to do whatever you want, if you want to work with professionals who will guide you every step of the way, if you want to do things by yourself, go ahead. Good luck to you. But if you want somebody to help you and guide you every step of the way, we are here to work with you and we're here to help you. And if you want more clarity about your specific situation, now I can't guarantee that we're going to answer all of your questions, but what I can guarantee is that you're going to walk out of that meeting knowing what are your options. And either you want to take it or leave it. This is going to be free for a very limited time because Lauren is going away to Israel at the end of this week. So make sure that you get to this as soon as possible, because this is really your next step for you. So what's the catch? Well, we only work with a select number of people. and we can't guarantee that we'll be able to work with you. This is really the first step to see if we can work together. And if we can't work together, that's okay. You will walk out with an idea, with an understanding of what you need to do in order to be successful, in order to take the next step, whatever that might be for you. So if you qualify, just schedule the consult. Again, it's free for a limited time. Okay. And what do everybody here, what do they have in common? Well, they all started their journey with a consult, and this was actually a paid consult with Lauren. So they all started because they needed they needed something, and they needed to understand what would be their next steps. Not everybody has immigrated from here. Some people have invested in properties. Some people have just wanted to get a visa. So it really just depends when it comes to what is your why? What do you want to do? Do you want to just invest in real estate? Do you want to just set up a business in the US? Do you want to immigrate to the US? Everybody has different options based on what you want. So they all started with one simple step, and that simple step is just a consult that we're gonna do for you. Oh, awesome, Michelle. That's awesome that you registered. So this is how you can reach us. Again, the consult, I'm going to leave this up for a little bit. I think we had some more questions, Lauren, if you want me to read them to you.
That'd be great.
Okay. All right. So somebody asked about $100,000 for what? I think Charles said.
Sure. So I didn't really get into that, and I apologize. So in order to qualify for an E2, it's based on investment. E2 is a treaty investor visa. It has to be a substantial investment in a non-marginal business. Substantial investment in a non-real estate business is generally seen as around 100,000. There is no set in stone number. There's no hard and fast rule. But as a general guide or a rule of thumb, we see it as 100,000. So we tend to use that as the rule of thumb. And we look at a lot of these franchises that as a average investment amount would be between about 90 and 125,000. You can use our fee as a part of that, but it should not be the substantive part of that. You do not need 100,000 in the US bank account, but you do need to have invested or have at risk that 100,000. Now, there is a new rule in place that in order to access a US bank account as a non-resident, as you are applying for an E2 visa, I think it's 30,000 that you have to have in the bank account, which has nothing to do with the visa, that has to do with the banking rules. And you can get a lot of businesses for around 100,000. You can get a maid business. You can get a property management business. You can get, we actually, Diane, are you here? I think Diane had to leave. I apologize, I didn't introduce her. Diane from a company called Tutor Doctor. We've had great success with that company. Do not go to these franchises directly. You will end up not getting the process handled properly, and you will not get the right escrow contingencies built into them. Go through us. We are franchise brokers. We have great relationships with these franchises. So you can get a couple of franchise units for around 100,000. So that's what we specialize in. That's what we do. Okay. So any other questions?
Yeah, we're just a couple more because it's almost 2 o'clock, and I want to make sure that we respect everybody's time. Somebody said, I think Gwendolyn, I would like to know about the 2 ways to buy real estate in the US. One is via LLC or something.
No, again, as I mentioned, I saw that question before, not answering any specific questions. Set up a consult with the team. I am not on the team consults. My consults are paid consults. They're $397. I also will not be on any consults until November 14th. I see somebody on iPad 96. I don't know who that is. I'll set up a consult on November 1st. That's great. My team is more than capable of working on that with you. Jeff from Sarasota, I'm happy to set up a 10-minute or 15-minute time with you. I do have actually time this afternoon available. My only thing this afternoon is I have to go to and do me a favor. Oh my goodness. Do me a favor and please, what was I going to say? Please make sure that you don't include this part in the recording, okay, Shema? So what was I going to say? If the realtors want to speak with me, I could do it this afternoon before I head to the iPhone, the Apple store, because my son crack the back of my brand new iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'm going to Israel. Wouldn't be a good idea to go with a cracked phone.
Okay. We have just one more, the business partner and this person, real estate investors looking for insight into buying real estate in the US. They know that
I'm not available next week, Jeff. As I said, I'm going to Israel. So if you want to speak, you just send an email to the team and we can set up a call separately. They'll send you a link. I'm not available at all next week to speak to anybody, no matter who you are or what you're doing. Sorry. I'm going to be like in the desert and whatever, and 7 hours ahead.
Yeah. So they're basically asking if you recommend that they buy real estate in the US. Your personal recommendation.
Okay, Michelle, you set up a consult with the team. They'll go through the timeline with you and everything like that. Generally speaking, the timeline can be as short as 3 months, but it really depends on what you're buying and how far along you are now and what amount you have and where you're investing and what type of investment. So it's, we have gotten visas. The one we just got 2 weeks ago, they started the process in, I think it was May or June. And that took 6 months, including purchasing real estate. So it can be quicker or slower. It just depends. So that's, I hate to give you the lawyer answer, but that's the only answer I have for you. Okay.
I think that's it, Lauren.
Okay, perfect. So any other questions? I know there was a couple on the bot, which my team can address as well. And I thank you for joining us today and look forward to working with you guys and hopefully helping you achieve your American dream. All right, take care. Bye.